right, good morning. All right, today we are solving rational. What does the word rational mean? What's rational? Rational fractional? Is that what I heard? Rational fractional. Rational fractional equations. Rational numbers are anything that can be written as a fraction. Rational fractional numbers. So we're going to see decimals and fractions in our equations, but everything is the same we did yesterday. So we're solving, but now we're just going to have some decimals and fractions, which maybe makes it look a little less pretty, but the math is the same. And we have calculators to help us out, so really it's nothing to be scared about. So, again, just like yesterday, solving these equations is exactly the same thing. We want to find our variable, and we want to get rid of the thing nearby. Variables want to be alone. They want to be isolated, okay? So I don't like to use the word solve. I like to use the word isolate the variable because I think it's a little more descriptive. It says I want the variable, or the variable wants to be alone. So that's what we're going to do today. So let's just start here with number 1. A minus 17.9 equals 32.4. What should we do, ladies and gentlemen? How do we get the A by itself? Add 17.9 to both sides. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your work. 17.9. On the Delta Math, if you're using your calculator, you don't need to show work, that's fine. But in notes, please show your work so you know how to do it later, okay? Not to mention, on test day, are you going to have to show your work? Will I be very, I'm going to look super close? If your work doesn't make sense, then you will not get credit, okay? So please show your work. What is negative 17.9 plus 17.9? 0. It disappears to nothingness, and we're left with an A. Bring down your equal sign. And then in our calculators, or maybe you can do the math, but I'm just going to use my calculator because I hate decimals. 17.9. So I'm just using my calculator to add 32.4 and 17.9. I got 50.3. So that is it. Okay. Let's do number 3. Number 3. Read this out loud to me, will you? Negative. Read out loud. 4.5 times P. I love that you included the operation there. Negative 4.5 times P. How are we going to get P by itself? Divide. To break the multiplication, we have to divide. Divide both sides. What number are we trying to get rid of? We're going to get rid of the whole negative 4.5. So we're going to divide both sides by negative 4.5. What is negative 4.5 divided by negative 4.5? It is 1. We want it to be a 1. It reduces to 1 P. And then in my calculators, negative 60.3 divided by negative 4.5. And we get 13.4. Okay. All right. Super duper. Let's look at number 7. Let's look at number 7. We want to get W by itself. What do we need to get rid of? 2.67. How are we going to get rid of 2.67? Subtract it. Right now it's a positive 2.67. So if I want to get rid of that positive 2.67, I need to subtract 2.67 from the right and from the left. Why do we have to subtract it from the right and the left? Because whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other. Why? So it's even, because this is really when we're solving equations, it's really balancing equations. It's a balance, like a teeter-totter. Remember we talked about that yesterday. So in order to keep things balanced, you gotta do the both sides. You gotta do the both sides. Okay. All right. So positive 2.67 and negative 2.67 is 0, leaving behind the W on the right-hand side, bringing down our equals sign, and then I can use my calculator because I hate decimals. 7.84 subtract 2.67, and I get 5.17. Okay. Let's look at number 8. Number 8. Will you read this out loud to me? See, divided by negative 8.4. How do we undo divide by? Multiply by. So we're going to multiply both sides by what number are we trying to get rid of? Negative 8.4. We're going to multiply both sides by negative 8.4. Again, please show your work. Lachlan, you're not on your computer. You're taking notes. We are multiplying both sides. Negative 8.4 over negative 8.4 divided by that reduces to a 1c. And then I'm going to multiply together my 6.2 times negative 8.4. And what do we get? Negative 52.08. Okay. How are you feeling? Good? Okay. Do I need to do any more of these, or are you solid? You're doing okay? Okay, let's turn the page. Now, ladies and gentlemen, calculators make using decimals quite easy, but with fractions, we're going to have to be a little extra careful. So I need you to really follow along with your calculator. So you make sure that you're going to use your calculator correctly if you're using your calculator, which I expect you will because that's what they're for, right? Let's look at, we want to solve each equation and check solutions. We'll do that a little later. We want to get the, let's do number 14. Ooh, number 14. Number 14 has this guy. What's this guy called? A mixed number. Very good. It's a mixed number. Our calculators do not use mixed numbers. Okay? So what do you suppose we need to do with that? Convert it. Yep. We're going to multiply and add in the numerator. We got to convert. Write that down. Convert that mixed number. So I'm going to rewrite this equation. 11 over 18 equals x minus, when we convert, we're multiplying. 3 times 3 is? 9. Plus 2 is 11. We get an 11 for the numerator. What's our denominator? 3. Okay, so we get 11 over 3. So now we're improper, which is much nicer. And I want to go ahead and isolate my letter here. Isolate my x. What should I do to get rid of this thing? How do I get rid of that minus 11 thirds? Add, yeah. We're going to add 11 thirds to both sides. Negative 11 thirds and positive 11 thirds is a 0. It disappears. And that leaves me with my x is equal to, and in my calculator now, I'm just going to go ahead and say, hey, let's use parentheses around each fraction to make sure that it's really good here. So I'm going to use parentheses so my calculator really knows that it's a fraction that I want to add together. So parentheses 11 divided by 18. So this is the fraction 11/18. Try it on your calculator. Make sure you're doing it right. And then we're going to add the fraction 11/3. And the reason I'm doing this is because if we try and use fractions in the calculator, it does some weird things sometimes. But if you designate parentheses around your fraction, your calculator will always do it correctly. So if you get in the habit of this now, things will go a lot smoother later. All right? Now, are there other ways to do this? Yes, there are. But I think this one's the fastest. Okay? So what's wrong with this? Is this going to be acceptable? No. What should we do here? Math frac, ladies and gentlemen. Math frac on your calculator is going to do some great things for you. So we're going to go to the math button, and number 1 is convert to a fraction, and we can see that we get 77/18. And that is a fabulous answer, totally acceptable for us. Are our numbers always going to be pretty numbers? No. Thank God for calculators, right? Yeah? Okay. So let's learn how to use our calculator correctly. Let's do number 16 here. So what do we need to do on number 16? Convert. Got to start by converting our fractions. So I have a plus. We're going to multiply and add. Again, when I'm writing stuff down, these little symbols here are to help us later on, okay? I want you to put those little helpful hints in there for yourself, okay? So 8 1/2 is what fraction? 17/2. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 1 more gives you 17/2. Is equal to, what is 5 1/3? Improper. 16/3, very good. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 makes 16/3. All right, how do we get the A by itself? Yeah, we're going to subtract the 17/2 from both sides. Positive 17/2 and negative 17/2 is 0. And so we are going to get A by itself, our equal sign, and in my calculator, again, let's use those parentheses around those fractions so that our calculator knows what we're really thinking here. 16/3 inside parentheses, and then we're going to subtract 17/2. Whoops, I missed a 1 there. All right. So again, make sure you're typing these things in correctly so your calculator does it right. Adding and subtracting is not usually a problem. It's the multiplying and dividing that really gets us going here. This is a crazy decimal, not too crazy though. It's repeating, all right, which means it is a rational number. Repeating rational, so I need to do what? Math frac. Again, because things that go on forever are no-no. So we're going to math frac it, and I'm getting negative 19/6. Negative 19/6. Okay. You doing okay with that? Yeah? Okay. So now we have some interesting ones right here. So, I don't like dividing by a fraction. Dividing by a fraction is terrible. And so the easiest way to get, like for instance, here on number 17, to get the x by itself, I don't want to divide both sides by 2/3. Dividing by a fraction is incredibly cumbersome, okay? So what we're going to do is we are going to multiply by its reciprocal. What is a reciprocal? Yeah, it's the flip of the fraction, okay? We're going to flip that fraction, as in keep, change, flip, okay? So that's what we used to do, keep, change, flip. What we're going to do here, I want to get x by itself, and because it says 2/3 times x, we would think to ourselves, well, I got to break that multiply, so I would divide by 2/3. I don't like dividing by a fraction, so instead, we're going to multiply both sides by 3/2. we're going to multiply both sides by the flip of the fraction. Look what happens here on the left-hand side. 3 over 2 times 2/3. 3 over 2 times 2/3. How do you multiply fractions? Straight across. Super easy. We would get 6 over 6. And what is 6 over 6? 1, okay? So that's why we use reciprocals, because it cancels itself out nicely, okay? So we get 1x is equal to, now here again, we have 48 over 1. Going to make that a fraction, 48 over 1. If I want, I can use, I'm not going to use mine. Let's see, we're going to multiply straight across. 48 times 3 is 144. So that gives me 144 because I'm multiplying straight across. And over 2, 1 times 2 is 2. And so what's 144 divided by 2? 72. So we get x equals 72 for our answer. I also could just do 48 times my fraction of 3 over 2. So I could type it in this way, 48 times my 3 over 2 fraction. Okay, so you could type it in and still you get 72. Okay? All right, let's try number 18 here. I have negative 1/3 times w. Negative 1/3 times w. How am I going to get rid of that negative 1/3? Multiply by negative 3 over 1. So we're going to multiply by the reciprocal here. I'm going to try to choose a color that's going to show up over here. So I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 3 over 1. Multiplying by the reciprocal. Negative 3 over 1 times. Okay, there we go. What is negative 1/3 times negative 3 over 1? What do you get when you have those reciprocals? 3 over 3? 3 over 3 is? 1. So we're going to get our 1w is equal to, and here, what is negative 3 over 1 times 7? Negative 21, yeah. Negative 3 times 7 is negative 21, and then 1 times 1 is just 1 on the bottom, so negative 21. Could we use our calculator too? Sure. My parentheses, negative 3 over 1 times 7. Let's see if I was right. Yay, negative 21. Okay? Let's try number 19. How are we going to get k by itself? Times by negative 5 over 4. Multiply by the reciprocal on both sides, times by negative 5 over 4. So every time you see that fraction with your variable, you can think multiply by the reciprocal on both sides. Again, negative 4 over 5 times negative 5 over 4 gives us 20 over 20. And 20 over 20 is just a 1k. All right, super nice. Goes away. That's what reciprocals are good at, canceling each other out. Okay. And then here on my calculator, those are big numbers. I'm going to use my calculator. So again, I have my fraction in parentheses, negative 5 divided by 4. And then I'm going to do times my 60. And I get negative 75. Okay. Questions so far? You good? Let's do number 23. Number 23, what's different about 23? We got to make it improper. Yeah, we got to convert this sucker first. So we're going to multiply and add. Convert. Lachlan, you writing it down, man? All right, so what are we going to get here when we multiply and add? 53 over 7 v's equals negative 106. All right, Now, this is 53 over 7 times our variable. How are we going to get rid of that 53 over 7? Multiply by 7 over 53. Multiply by the reciprocal on both sides. What happens with our little product of our reciprocals here? What do we get? Just one, yeah. They sort of cancel each other out there, which is super handy. And we're just left with the V. And then because these are super giant numbers, I'm going to use my calculator. Negative 106 times my 7 over 53. Negative 14. Look how that cleaned up. That was pretty awesome. Okay. All right, do you have questions for me? How do you get rid of it when you've got a fraction in front? Multiply by the reciprocal. Multiply by the reciprocal, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, goodness. Okay. All right. Fantastic.